Welcome to another edition of the Leadership Test Kitchen. I think, as you know, every other episode we focus on a local leader. And today I'm excited to have Chris Shepard, CEO of Jumpstart, with me. I picked Chris because, well, one of his superpowers is anticipating risks and taking action before they occur. And I think about this as like a higher level CEO ability that all great leaders have, and I can't wait for Chris to be able to share his perspective on how he thinks about it and how he builds a culture of anticipating risk in his company. And so with that, welcome, Chris.
Hey,
it's
thanks
great
for
to have you here. Let's start with the most important question, since this is a Leadership Test Kitchen. We're not in a kitchen today, but tell me what your favorite part is. Are you a cook? Are you a cleaner? What's your favorite part?
I'm the most aggravating type. I'm both. So I do both simultaneously, which I think gets under the skin of everybody, but I can't help it. It's part of who I am.
I am not that way.
Right.
I'm a little bit of a tornado in the kitchen. That's part of my expression of art. I've also heard that you're a master planner in the kitchen. Tell me about that.
Oh, man. I did mention that I do a lot of planning in the kitchen. Really, I like to keep things tight in the kitchen. So when we get to the end of the line, we're having dinner together, we get to enjoy our time, and we're not surrounded by a bunch of chaos. But that's probably just part of my personality. Yeah.
I like that better. I just kick everybody out.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm like, hey, you all go into the living room, but get out of my kitchen.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. Well, let's actually introduce Jumpstart. Who is Jumpstart? What do you guys do? Why do you guys exist?
Oh, thanks. So Jumpstart's a company that manufactures building envelope materials. These are the weather barrier products.
Okay.
For both residential and commercial markets. We're based out of Richmond, Virginia. We have offices that operate in Washington, Ohio as well. And we've been doing it since mid-2000s.
Given where you guys are today, tell me about the road ahead. First of all, why are you there? And what are you trying to build and drive over the next couple of years? And ultimately, what does success look like?
For us, success is maintaining the steep growth trajectory we have right now.
Okay.
The business has been operating strong, but the reality is it's hard to keep that on the tracks and keep that momentum going. And so one thing that's critical for us is the topic we're talking about today. How do we anticipate risk and mitigate that risk so we can maintain that same rate of market share gain and keep the velocity going over the next 3 years?
Got it. Maybe one other question before we turn to you. Mm-hmm. Just, because we're talking about cooking, and to give people the sense of what your marketplace looks like what food best represents the marketplace conditions that you're operating in?
Oh man, that's a great question. I might have to describe it as a buffet that you would see some way.
That's
because
good.
We have communication moving so much faster today than it did 20 years ago. With information being more ubiquitous, really, barriers to entry in our markets are getting lower and lower. It requires us to be highly innovative and to be able to adapt quickly. There's a lot of variables, a lot of things to choose from for customers, and we need to make sure we have solutions for those. So I think the broad choice selection and low barrier to entry probably most closely resembles a buffet.
I get it. How long have you been a CEO?
So we formed the company in 2007, which was certainly an interesting period of time to vertically integrate into manufacturing and building construction. And I've been in this role for about 5 years.
Well, it's an interesting marker, right? And when you're in the role for 5 years, it begs the question of, well, what's your next platform for change? And so when you think about the next 5 years for Chris Shepard, the CEO, what do you want to achieve?
For me, that's easy. It's continuing to build out our leadership team. We're investing heavily in that now, making sure that we're hiring well and bringing in talent that can drive our business independently for their various business functions.
And if we were here, now you're a humble person, so I'm gonna push you a little bit on this. If we're here 5 years from now and you think about one headline that you would be like, I am super proud of that headline personally, what would that be?
Ooh, one headline. That's tough. I could probably think of two, but what I would start with is I would like to be able to say we continue to capture market share at an accelerating rate over and above market activity every year.
Okay.
We've been able to do that now, and to me, that's the ultimate marker of success. Are we winning? Are we winning the battles every year? From an LT standpoint, another headline for me would be the ability of our leadership team to independently drive the business.
Hey, let's switch to the topic at hand, which is really the ability to see around corners or anticipate risk. I'll just start with a little framing. Here's what I mean. Imagine that as a leader, you're in the watchtower and your job is to try to figure out on the horizon, where's there a puff of smoke and how do you take action before that smoke turns into a fire, before it turns into a forest fire. And there's a lot of things that we look at, internal, external. And so with that, because this is such a superpower of yours, as I've come to know over the past year, I'd love to know how you think about it.
Oh man. Well, I tend to think about this in two buckets. First bucket being environmental.
Okay.
And that's really looking at the external forces that are outside of our direct control within our business that could derail what our strategy and our objectives are.
Yeah.
And so this could be things, if we're looking up the supply chain, like geopolitical disruption, volatility in tariffs, which we're aware of. Foreign currency exchange, things like that. Looking down into markets, this could be things like regulatory framework, really macro factors that we don't have a lot of influence over short or midterm. And the other bucket I think about is really people. And this extends both to people as individuals and organizations, because they're made up of people. And understanding, the pain points of those people and organizations and the objectives that are driving their decision making.
Yeah.
And really, even if they don't understand it, I would challenge our teams. That's their job, right? Ultimately, to understand your customers' needs before they understand them as well. And that, for us, has served well in terms of anticipating risk that can derail a lot of the growth that we've been having over the last several years at Jumpstart.
I love it. You remember when I asked you about your role in the kitchen and whether you're a planner or not, and I said,
yes.
For me, I kick everybody out of the kitchen.
Yes.
But for you, you come up with a plan for it. I think I'd love to hear how you built a system and culture around anticipating risk. I think this is a novel part of the story that you've built.
Yeah, absolutely. We've learned by experience. We have not always done it well, and we continue to get better.
Yeah.
But as leaders, I think it probably starts with us first in terms of knowing ourselves, knowing what our traits and biases are, the things that can maybe create blind spots for us as we're leading our company. And there's a lot of ways we can gain awareness of this, whether it be things like Myers-Briggs, Berkman, DISC, Enneagram.
Sure.
There's so many, but I have found those helpful for me as an individual, understanding what my blind spots are. So as an example, I've learned and validated that I tend to be highly extroverted and fiercely oriented towards results.
I'm so surprised at that.
And it's helpful sometimes, and it's real unhelpful at other times. I think probably like most of us. And so what I've learned is that I'm quick to lean in towards relationships where trust and rapport is established. And on the results side, I'm also quick to jump at opportunities where we can advance our business objectives. The downside of that is it's easier for me to look past blind spots and risks that can be lurking under the covers, right? In terms of our operations, our supply chains, even some of our offerings to our customers. And so having that awareness of self has been important. Other elements is creating capacity for our teams, giving them space to do that planning, because the reality is risk mitigation doesn't happen right away.
Sure.
We got to carve out time to allow our folks to actually do that effectively. Sometimes that comes at a cost, chasing our short-term objectives.
How do you train your staff? How do you create the mindset, right, to think about risk?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say two ways. One, critical to have common systems of records.
Okay.
So when we're talking about reality, we're all talking about the same reality. We agree on what reality is.
A lot of organizations could improve on that.
That's probably the first step. But the second step is institutionalizing that. And so we try not to talk about risk mitigation practices as ideas or endeavors. We actually systematize it. And so we try to create metrics around those different processes and measures to make sure that when we do identify a risk, it's systematized into our organization and we can't escape the plan that goes into it.
I love it.
So for me, the last item has been taking a look at how we hire.
Okay.
And the idea is really prioritizing people who naturally ask the question why.
Okay.
Right? They search out for the why behind the reason, and they're able to drive organizational change. That's proven really well for us.
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That was super insightful. It leads me to the question, what's the role of the CEO in this process?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, our role is pretty simple. Our role is to set the expectation and then to respectfully pressure test the strategies that our teams develop. I'm curious, what do you think, simply put?
Well, you know a couple of things about me. I'm a dreamer,
I do.
and words matter. And so I look at it like, as a CEO, I'm operating in a 6 to 36 month time horizon. My team is operating in a 0 to 12 month time horizon.
That's true.
And the second thing I think about is, I think about like leadership as language. And so really coming up with the vocabulary, the language on looking at the horizon, being curious and trying to understand like what's happening in our business and in the outside world, and pulling out of that the themes that we really need to worry about.
Right.
And so I kind of fold it into every dialogue,
That's great.
as you could probably anticipate. And so that's the way I think about it. Yeah, I'm curious, as we close, what advice would you give to other leaders? I mean, this is something really cool that you've established and built. How should other leaders think about it?
I mean, I would offer 4 points, all of which we've touched on briefly. I think the first is to really understand the biases that we bring in our leadership within our organization. And then secondly, to know our customers at an intimate level. And the big idea is we've got to get outside of our office. We have to spend time with our supply chain partners. We have to spend time with the leaders at our customers. We have to spend time with our employees. And in doing so, we're going to become more familiar with the pain points they have, their objectives, and we'll be able to support our teams in crafting strategies that are durable. I'd encourage leadership at every level throughout the organization. The idea being that we want to hire people that own their responsibilities to the point where they don't just do the work, they're passionate about the work. They're driving towards solutions and change. Creating space for that, I think, is critical in creating durability and accelerating growth. At the end, everyone is our customer, right? We bring an audience viewpoint and a customer mindset to every single person that we interact with, whether it be up, down, the supply chain within our company, and our ability to serve people well like that, I think is going to give us clarity on what the businesses need.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you for investing the time today. And thank you all for tuning into this edition of the Leadership Test Kitchen. Look forward to your comments and look forward to the next edition coming out soon. Thank you.
Thanks.